Today, we're diving into the story of a spiritual master who influenced millions of people. But he did it with a fascinating paradox at the heart of his legacy. He never wrote a single book. So that's the big question, right? In a world where your legacy is so often tied to what you write down, how did this master achieve such a massive influence without leaving a single text behind? It sounds kind of impossible, but his answer changes everything. And there it is. My books are my disciples. With this one single, powerful sentence, al-Ḥasan al-Shādhilī lays out his entire philosophy. His legacy wasn't meant for paper. It was meant to be written into the very souls of the people he taught. So let's really dig into this idea. By choosing people over pages, he created this living, breathing legacy. It's a legacy that couldn't be easily twisted or misrepresented, the way text can be over the centuries. Why? Because his teachings were carried in human hearts.
I just love this line. Think about that for a second. A silence that's louder than all the libraries of the world. It points to a kind of influence that's so deep, so pure, that it doesn't need the noise of arguments or shelves full of books to prove its power.
And this is what made him so unique. He wasn't a saint who preached extreme withdrawal from life. No, he was the saint of balance. He taught this practical, integrated spirituality for people with lives, with jobs, with families, showing them how to navigate the world without letting the world own their hearts. Okay, so this leads us perfectly into our next section, because his unique approach wasn't just about his legacy, it was woven into the very way he taught. He totally redefined what the spiritual journey could even look like. You have to see the contrast here. Before him, a lot of spiritual paths were framed as this grueling, brutal war against your own ego. But al-Shādhilī, he just flips the whole script. He taught people not to be obsessed with the fight, but to be obsessed with the destination. The whole idea was to run to God, not just away from everything else. And this one shift, it changes everything. You move away from a spirituality that's based on fear and anxiety, and you move towards one that's rooted in trust and presence. He taught that real growth doesn't come from depriving yourself, but from connecting with the divine. It's a path that energizes you instead of completely exhausting you. And this all ties into his perfected definition of detachment, or zuhd. See, traditionally, zuhd often meant renouncing the world, its comforts, its money. But al-Shādhilī said, no, true detachment is an internal state. You can live in the world, have a great career, enjoy nice things. The key is that none of it is allowed to enter and take over your heart. It's a total redefinition, from outer poverty to inner freedom. Now we get to what might be the most brilliant part of his entire story. His choice not to write books, that wasn't an accident. It wasn't a failure. It was a conscious, deliberate, and frankly, genius-level strategy. I mean, really think about it. How do you criticize a text that doesn't exist? How do you misquote a sentence that was never written down? His silence became his fortress. It made his core teachings untouchable, protecting them from all the intellectual debates and arguments that can just tear other legacies apart. So if there aren't any books, then where's the proof? It's right there, in his students, the transformed lives, the illuminated hearts. They became his living, walking, breathing evidence. And that kind of evidence, well, it's incredibly hard to argue with. And we're not talking about just any students. His influence directly produced two of the most celebrated works in the entire tradition of Islamic spirituality. The Hikam, this incredible book of wisdom, and the Burda, a poem of just unbelievable beauty. These are his real books, written through the hands of his disciples. So, if we boil it all down, there are three key reasons for this strategy. Number one, protection. No misquotes, no distortion. Number two, an emphasis on transmission. He knew that real spirituality has to be transmitted from heart to heart. You can't just learn it from a textbook. And number three, it was just this ultimate act of trust in God, a belief that his legacy would be preserved through divine blessing, not through ink on a page. And yeah, it's a huge risk. If that living chain breaks, the teaching could be lost, but for him, that trust was paramount. Which brings us to the most important question of all. Why are we talking about a 13th century master today? Why does this matter now? Well, as we're about to see, his teachings feel like they were practically designed for the world we're living in right now. I mean, just look at this list. Does any of this sound familiar? Anxiety that's just always there, constant distraction, total burnout, a feeling of being lost. These are the defining struggles of modern life. And it's right into this chaos that al-Shādhilī's wisdom speaks so powerfully. So many spiritual paths seem to demand that you retreat from the world, that you escape. They feel like they were designed for a different kind of life that most of us just can't live. But his path was different. It wasn't built for the monastery or the cave. It was built for us, for people who have jobs and families and bills and all the pressures of the real world. It's a spirituality for the marketplace, for the office, for the home. It's designed to be lived right in the middle of all the chaos, not hidden away from it. And this is where it all just clicks. You can literally map his solutions directly onto our biggest problems. For our feeling of being completely overwhelmed, he offers a path of ease. For our constant distraction, he offers a path of presence. And for the absolute chaos of modern life, he offers a path of profound balance. So, in the end, what Imam al-Shādhilī showed the world was this incredibly beautiful and really revolutionary idea that the most important texts are not written on paper. A human heart can be a library. A great teacher can be a book. And a lineage of transformed people, well, that can be a living, breathing miracle. And that really leaves us with one final thought. In a world that is just screaming for less noise and more meaning, for less complexity and more connection, this path of balance and presence and ease, it just feels more relevant than ever. So the question is, what could a path like that unlock in your own life?